Here I am responding to a video by this guy, Dark Fluff. He has all these stories. He reads these stories out. And this one is I'm a photographer, not a horny teen. So you can just imagine what I'm about to say about this.
For future stories. Let's get into it. This story is titled, I'm a photographer, not a horny teen.
I got news for you guys. There's nothing wrong with being a horny teen.
This happened to me a while ago at a volleyball training school that I work at part-time. My dad co-owns the place with 4 other people, 2 of which are ex-pro volleyball players from Russia. At the school, we have different colored shirts for the students based on age range: green, blue, white, and a black shirt for staff. All of these have a giant logo of the school plastered on the front of it. Since I play soccer and have school to focus on, I only work there part-time. When I'm there, I do things like update rosters, take payments, translate for people in Spanish, since it's my first language, and things of that nature. Now, because I like photography, and my pictures are pretty decent, my dad pays me extra than my usual salary to take pictures for their website and help them with their logos and color schemes.
You can see where this is going. This young guy has a job taking photographs, and you know what's going to say. They're going to get a big issue with him taking pictures of young girls. Totally disgusting.
For the game uniforms, Photoshop stuff, relatively easy. Anyway, I walked in one Thursday afternoon, and after completing some paperwork and finalizing some payments, I went out of the staff room to take pictures of the class in action. Today was a class of 8th and 9th graders. I had my uniform on, but because it was a bit chilly inside, I didn't bother taking my jacket off. I thought that as long as I kept it unzipped so people could see the logo on the shirt, I would be fine.
Who gives a shit about your logo? You know, a guy taking pictures of a volleyball team isn't doing anything wrong.
And that was a mistake. I stood off to the side of the court, set my camera shutter speed, checked to make sure the flash was off, and started snapping pictures. It was at this point where one of the girl's fathers came in to pick up his daughter.
Say no more. Another father scumbag.
I should mention that normally, this girl's mother picks her up, so he didn't know the staff very well. There was still 5 to 10 minutes left of class, so he made his way over to the rows of chairs lining the walls of the gym, until he saw me, a punk high schooler, taking pictures of his poor freshman.
What difference? I would say, so would he be more comfortable if he found a middle-aged man taking photographs? A punk high schooler. In other words, how dare you, you low status loser, take pictures of my precious girl, who I worship.
Freshman daughter and her classmates that I can use for my own enjoyment in the privacy of my bedroom.
Really, that's the assumption? Of course it's the assumption. But it shouldn't be the assumption. If a girl was taking these photographs, you wouldn't assume that. And that's the stance it should be for young men doing it. And here's another thing. What if this guy was? Like, if all these young guys, teenage guys, you think they're not having fantasies about girls in their high school? So what's the difference of having a picture? No.
He immediately got up from his seat and stormed up to me. He demanded to know what I was doing taking pictures of his daughter and threatened to destroy my camera if I didn't give him my SD card that second.
I would want to beat this guy up if I met him in person. What a disgusting thing to do. You know what? I'm going to bring up the girl again. If a girl was taking pictures of his son, it's not just that he would make the assumption she wasn't sexual, because, only guys do that. But she could look at him right in his face and say, your son is so hot, I'm going to be rubbing one out to his picture later. And you know something? He's not going to react badly. At worst, he's just kind of going to be stunned. But I suspect he's going to like it. So this is just more female worship from low-life guys. I mean, guys who become fathers, this is pathetic. They're looking at this guy and saying, how dare you, my little girl, even though she's growing up, and becoming sexually attractive to the opposite sex. I mean, she's got to remain a virgin until I'm dead. Pathetic.
I was so shocked at the sudden confrontation that I couldn't think of anything to say, so I simply grabbed the side of my jacket and opened it up a little so the logo on my shirt became visible. The look on his face when he saw the staff uniform was one of absolute horror and shame. He mumbled a half-ass apology and walked back to the seating area. Now every time he walks in, he never speaks to me. Even when the bill for the classes is due to be paid, he either waits until he's sure that I'm not around, or he gets his wife to do it. He's actually a nice guy from what my dad tells me. He's just...
This is another thing. He's actually a nice guy. So all these guys who are normally harmless and don't do anything, these female worshipers will go ballistic on you and commit violence against you at a heartbeat, at a moment's notice. So I don't give a shit if this guy's a nice guy, because he could be a nasty guy. It's all the same in the end. The results are the same. He wanted to kill this guy because he's just a young guy who's taking pictures. He might have been lusting after his daughter.
Just really ashamed. That's just an overprotective father doing his thing. But at the same time...
I won't let you do this. He is not protective. He is hostile to young men. He's hostile to other men of any age category. This is male hostility. This is not protectiveness. If some young guy was up there, if he took a picture of her and was wanking off to her photograph, that doesn't hurt his daughter at all. Her body's not being violated. She doesn't even know what's happening. How would that be any different from the guy who's looking at her and wanking off anyway without a picture, just by memory? So this is just hostility and revulsion at the male sex. And this guy's a guy. I'd want to punch him right in his face.
OP was standing on the side of the court taking pictures. I would have been okay with that. I would have assumed he was a photographer snapping photos of the team. If he was sitting on the bleachers way in the back row in a corner with a camera like that, then that's a different story. That's where it's a cause for...
self-loathing young man. For one thing, way out in the bleachers taking photos, that doesn't prove that he's going to jerk to the pictures any more than the person who has an official title. Guys, and even if he was doing it, again, it's harmless. So this young man, I mean, he even describes himself as some young punk. So this guy's telling the story. This young man is a self-loathing, female-worshiping, male hostile piece of garbage. I have no respect for these types. That's what I have to say about that. And this is another thing guys do of all ages. They want to be the one good man. So that's what this young guy was saying. You know, I've got this logo that proves I've been validated as a good man, which means he'd be the kind of guy who would be happy to join the police and say, you know, we're going to make a curfew, you know, like how feminists talk about having curfews for men. He'd be the type that say, yeah, that's good. I'm a police officer, so I can go out whenever I want, and I can beat up on these guys who I find out wandering around late at night, even if they're just emergency or whatever. I'll harass them. I'm telling you, most men are female worshiping scumbags. And this guy who threatened this young man, that's exactly what he is. He's a female worshiping scumbag. He's an enemy of his other men. I have no respect for these guys. That's all I need to say about these clowns.